The gospel is relevant because it's a relationship with Christ, and it's got to be interwoven with the facets of everyday situations of people that we live in, right? Now we want to talk about it as it relates to hip hop and artist rap, because you find the journey of Christian hip hop, right, from D-Boy Rodriguez back in the day to Gospel Gangsters, the plethora of gaps between what culture is being raised up by Christian hip hop artists, right? You got some artists who rhyme and have rhymed hard-nosed gospel. This is it, like my evangelism days are talking about, if you die today, you're going to heaven to be with the Lord. That kind of fear-based kind of a gospel and theology, and it's welcome and it's engaged and it's fun. But then when things happen in people's lives, right? Situations happen, whether it's an artist's life or your life, there's no grace that's experienced in the midst of that. Like the culture of people didn't understand grace, and they bashing everybody. They going hard on people, right? But is that the same gospel? Is that the same gospel? Is the gospel not big enough to handle both those who may be rigid in their faith, and the gospel big enough to handle those who may be like, we got to live this thing out and see the totality, the holistic, lived out faith of the gospel in that way? If the gospel is real, it's going to be real when all hell hits the fan, and it's going to be real when everything's sunny and rosy in the same time. So are we raising up our Christian hip hop artists, raising up a generation that's only seeing one way of the gospel? As we talk about the gospel being relevant, I mean, sometimes maybe the first point of reference of some cats may be like, who is that? Christian rappers, what? And all of a sudden, either they're going to embrace a rigid, I mean, what are we raising up in Christian hip hop from what you guys understand and know, and even some of the history?
Yeah, I mean, been around Christian hip hop for a minute, and as somebody who came out of, like, I was a hardcore just hip hop head.
Right.
Literally thought I had to give up hip hop when I came to know the Lord. And then the Lord showed me, like, no, I'm the Lord of hip hop as well. And like drew me back to him through the culture I loved. It's like, for me, it was really important for me that the hip hop that I listened to when I first got like saved and like really walking with the Lord was really edifying for my soul. Cause I had been poured into by, some artists that was creative and dope and all that, but were not living Christian values. But as I grew, right, and as I started getting into ministry and I started working in the context in which I work in, I needed music that not only spoke to like edifying me for growing in the faith. I needed more than just like scripture or like scripturally based and exegetical, deep, like that's what I needed at first, right? I'm not gonna lie, I got discipled by Christian hip hop. My early rap groups, like I learned all about how to read the Bible and what the tenets of the faith were and all of that from Christian hip hop. And I'm thankful for that. Right. Man. But when it was time for us to now like use it to get the attention of people or to like be a voice that they could hear it speaking in their language, they couldn't understand what it was talking about because it wasn't speaking their language at all.
Right.
And so I think there needs to be a balance. That's always my thing, right? Like, in order for the gospel to be preached, this is why good news has to be understood as the center of gospel. Because that means the same thing with hip hop. That means that sometimes we need cats who just rapping about what they see on the street, how God is still engaged in that, and God gonna walk with you no matter what choices you make. And like, we need that. And we need folks who gonna like, okay, once they get saved and they need to grow in the Lord, like, hey, you should listen to this, man, because now they're gonna help you with your faith and help you grow and get the tenants, and all that. And you need folks who growing up and not talking about what it means to be a father and a husband and a wife and a mother and like growing in your faith. You know what I mean? One of my favorite songs, Show Baraka song, Peter Pan, where he talked about hip hop not growing up. He like, hip hop, you're close to 50. When can we grow up? And he's talking about like how hip hop is like Peter Pan, like it just never grows up, right? Like you got to continually be whatever the culture is saying you should be now, versus like talking about like, man, I'm a father, I got kids now, I'm trying to work, I'm trying to be a good husband. So I just feel like we need a balance of all of that in hip hop. And there's artists that do that. And we need to not pit them against each other. Like this artist got to be like that, or this artist got to be like that. We need everybody.
Like the church.